disclosure and the politics of all of that. And he led me on, and others as well. And so what did he do in that moment? You see, by the time I get on that show in early 97 for the first time, he's built up a huge audience. He's rolling. He's up in the 6, 7 million, 8 million range. I don't know. It was obviously the largest late night talk show in the country. And so when we get on there, and we're not talking about, oh, I had a sighting once when I was 6 years old, but we're talking about the politics of this issue, and and the need for hearings, and this is what this politician has said, and this is what we need to do. We had an audience. We had a core audience of 3, 4, 5, 6 million people. So for the first time in the history of the movement, the political aspects of it had a core audience of size, which allowed us to build a base from, right? Because you got 5 million people listening to you. That's a significant thing. And if you're talking about politics, you're talking about something that people can get involved in. And so we're on there. We're talking to people. Contact your congressperson. Contact your senator. Get in touch with the media. Do this, do that. We're doing petitions. We're doing all kinds of stuff. Art Bell was the first one that really gave us that audience. And once you get an audience of that size, it takes. You're in the door. All right. And of course, we built on that since then, to the point that now I don't know how many people in the world know what disclosure means. It's probably in the tens, if not hundreds and hundreds of millions. Art Bell was the first. There were other people that talked about the political aspects of this. And there's some shows that go way back even before Art. You know about them. But Art was the first one to allow the politics of the ET issue to have a substantial presence, because we did many shows to a large audience. And in that sense, he changed history.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not paranormal, because I do not do paranormal, Gary. In fact, as I've said many times, I don't believe that UFOs or ETs are paranormal in any way, shape, or form. They are completely normal.
Yeah, they're real.
I do normal. So this was critical. So Art will always have a special place in my heart. It troubled me terribly that things got so strange for him and so painful that he literally had to quit. And he tried to come back and quit again and so forth. That it's kind of a Shakespearean tragedy, really. But he was unique, and his place in history, I believe, is assured. Right? The history, when they finally look back and look into the details, they will go, "Oh, wow! Look what this guy did with this particular issue." Now, there are others that have now come forward. Norrie has done. He has allowed this subject, obviously, the politics of the subject, on countless times. And so, in a sense, he's kept that going, and he's followed in Art's footsteps with respect to this and so forth. Deserves an enormous amount of credit for that. He's been on a long time and has had a lot of audience. But there's others, right? And all of them have played a role. And as I said, starting in 96 with the advent of Internet radio, well, now it's a whole other ballgame. And so now I have the luxury, because of that. And when you put my name into Google with quotes around it, it produces 62,000 pages.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
That's a lot. Okay. And that's because of the Internet and because of Internet radio. And so that allowed me to have a presence, which, I mean, look, if I'd have had money, if I had made the wise choice to go ahead and get my PhD and maybe get involved in some high tech and make a couple of million or a couple of $100 million, I could have an internet presence the size of Mount Everest. But I had nothing when I entered this field. I don't think I had $100. This was July of 1996, and I was able to build a presence and websites and do that because the internet doesn't cost much. It is the ultimate democratization of information, allowing you not only to reach an audience, but to do it cheaply. You talked about the downside of that. Anybody can do it. But, it's not too difficult for a reasonably educated person to realize, you got your own thing going there, but, man, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, or I don't need that. It's not that hard to find quality information on the net from almost any source. And so when I grew up, there were three television networks with news about 15 minutes a night and almost little news on the radio, and it was newspapers. That was it. And those newspapers were owned by somebody that could control what was in them. They weren't government papers, but they could control the content. That was it. And now we have an information source so vast we even can't measure it yet. And so ultimately, that's a good thing.
It sure
It was
is.
a good thing for me, and it's a good thing for you. And I'm optimistic that we will use this incredible technology for extraordinary good. But the jury's still out on that, Gary.
Well, we'll
All
find
right,
out.
my friend. I think now I've stolen 49 more minutes of your show, which I wasn't planning to have.
Okay. Well, before we get out of here, why don't you tell people how they can find you, how they can make a donation, to support what you do and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Just a second. Paradigm, Paradigm, paradigmresearchgroup.org is the website. All the contact information is there, including the email address, prg@paradigmresearchgroup.org. Right there in the top page is a GoFundMe link, and there's also a contribution page link, and tons of information on that website. Right now, we need things are changing. Right now, extraordinary things are about to happen, and there's going to be early next year a resurgence of activity in the politics of this issue. And so, right now, any resources that we could get in between now and the end of the year would be extremely helpful to be able to get ready to rock and roll come January of 2019. And I appreciate that opportunity to say that.
Well, I want to thank you, Steve, for being on. I know that Michael W. Hall, will be contacting you because he really wants you on his show too. And, he is a fresh air in talking about this stuff because he is very highly educated. Like I said, he was a Superior Court judge. He's a practicing attorney, and he's been into the UFO thing of all the major organizations. And actually, he represents a couple of them. That's his life, is disclosure and trying to prove or disprove UFOs.
I appreciate that. All I can say is convey to him that it's already been proven, and I encourage him to start reading some of the advanced stuff. Read Dolan, sure, Friedman, Schmidt, and some of the others, some of the latest books, get into the latest stuff. It's already been proven. He needs to start viewing this material from the standpoint it's already proven. He doesn't need to reinvent the wheel. I mean, educate himself to the limits he wants to.
Yeah.
But it doesn't need to be proven anymore, Gary. It's
no,
a done deal.
I actually, with his last encounter that they had at Mount Adams, like I said, I had him on last night. We were talking about it for 2 hours, and I tried debunking a whole bunch of stuff. It was just, I couldn't. Only one thing I could debunk. And the rest of the stuff, it was just so eerie, and, I had no words for it, just other than I think he really had an encounter, and he lost an hour and a half time, which is, and it's a lot more to the story. But I tell you, the car wasn't magnetized before it went into that, where it was parked there at the ranch, and all this stuff happened that one night. So, and it wasn't just with him; it affected a couple other people in some strange ways too. Hey, Steve.
And the personal encounter is positive, and it's very, very impressive, right? I mean, it nothing like having a near-death experience to get a real sense of near-death experiences. Are they real or they're not? But an ET doesn't have to come into your bedroom, take your blood pressure to know that they're here. He needs to start reading books about contact. He needs to read. There's plenty of them. Certainly, Dumac and discover that he's not alone there. There's plenty of people that are having these experiences in direct contact with ETs. So I've never had a contact with an ET. I've never even had a sighting. But you don't have to have that to be able to assess and understand that the ET thing has been proven. And the only reason that's not worldwide accepted is that the government of the world have made the decision to tell you on a regular basis, oh, no, they're not here. It doesn't exist. And so the issue is not have they been proven or not. The issue is when will the government propaganda program on this, the truth embargo, and because truth embargoes waste our time. They make us run in circles and do endless research, proving over and over again something, or at least trying to prove something that has already been established. So we go round and round and round and round to what end? The government is wasting our time, right? We need to move forward. So whenever governments get in there and say, oh, no, that's not true, and it is, what then? So you beat against their door saying, no, I know it's true, I know it's true. And you do that for a lifetime? This is crazy. It has to end, right? So he is a good person trying to prove something the government knew was true 60 years ago. You see how bizarre that is? If the government acted that way in a range of sciences, we'd still be in a Stone Age.
Yeah, oh yeah. Put it this way, yeah, we would never even got a rocket off the planet if we went by. Yeah, you couldn't. Yeah,
yeah,
that's so true.
Yeah, the truth reigns supreme, and we're not getting it. And so, but if he's enjoying himself and he's having fun, I get it's okay. I don't tell people what to do, but highly intelligent, educated people. I think that these are the people that need to look a little deeper and go, wait a minute, because if they did, then they might raise their hand and go, okay, this embargo. Look, I have a friend that knows 3 billionaires personally, meaning well, and hasn't been able to get a meeting with any one of them with me. And none of these 3 billionaires, even though they are engaging the space and all that stuff, have never put a nickel into the advocacy work. That's not a good thing.
No, they should actually be supporting it big time.
It's like, don't rock the boat. Government says it's not true. In other words, you could be a billionaire. The government says you can't go to Cuba. It's embargoed. You could probably go and hire a bunch of lawyers and never go to jail. The point is, it would be a hassle. It would be a problem. You can end up being at least a felon. So they don't go. I'm worth $1 billion, $10 billion, $100 billion. Government says I can't go to Cuba. I don't go. Well, the Cuban embargo, which started in '63, not that long after the ET truth embargo started, was an equally stupid policy that should have been ended nearly 25 years ago. And not ending that embargo has only set back our relationships with Cuba, and a lot of other things. These embargoing, lying, propaganda, deception, high secrecy, lack of transparency, all of these things have become endemic in American political culture. And if we do not correct that soon, Gary, the cost is going to be prohibitive.
Yeah, like the loss of our freedom.
Oh, there's all kinds of things we can lose, believe me. We got a dysfunctional government, dysfunctional political system. We've got a breakdown across a number of ranges. Things are starting to break down internationally. The things we could lose over the next couple of years, oh my God. Hey, we could become Yemen. And the very fact that we have allowed the situation in Yemen to become what it has, from a karmic standpoint, almost justifies us being there one day. If you can't prevent and fix something that awful, do you deserve to have nice cars and a roof over your head and hi-fi and TVs? Do you deserve it?
I don't think so.
Millions of children literally starve to death in front of your nose?
And I
would say no.
And we support somebody. It's all basically the reason of it.
Well, I mean, we're part of the problem, part of the reason this happened. We built the bombs that Saudi Arabia used to blow up the school bus full of kids. Yeah. But again, these are truths. And the truth is now on the back burner. The list of truths that are major news operations, which I have respect for. I'm a lover of journalism. That should be front and center in the news day after day after day is an incredibly long list. They have discovered that they can make $5-10 million a year as a news talk show host and stay within some fairly narrow lines, doing the occasionally courageous thing, and live extremely well without having to really bring the truth to the American people. And the people that are trying to bring the truth are out there begging for money every day on the radio. Send us some money so we